Welcome to Reddit Tea Time. Am I the bonehead for refusing to quit my job to look after my baby? I, female 33, am a lawyer, and my husband, male 34, works in an office. I earn the most money, so when I got pregnant, we decided that my husband would stay at home with our daughter, at least until she was a little older. It's been 2 months since I gave birth to our daughter, and I'm planning on going back to work next month. My husband told me last week that it would be better if I quit my job and took care of the baby, and he could provide for us. I told him no, because there is no good reason to do that. I earn more than him, and I actually like my job, whereas he hates his job and earns a lot less than me. Plus, we literally agreed that I'd work and he'd look after our daughter. I don't understand what's changed. He called me a bad mom, and he's been really upset with me since. We've been fighting about it a lot because he keeps bringing it up. It was his idea to have a child, and he told me he was happy to be a stay-at-home dad. I don't understand why he doesn't want that anymore. Now, for some comments. Not the bonehead. Is he going to become an experienced lawyer in the next week? Not the bonehead. It was his decision to stay at home, and he wanted this child. Just remind him of the conversation you had before you got pregnant. He's probably just now realizing how hard it is to take care of a newborn. Not the bonehead. Your husband did a bait and switch, and now he's trying to manipulate you into doing what he wants. If he didn't want to be a stay-at-home dad because he realized how hard it is, he could have discussed daycare and nannies. Instead, he's trying to gaslight you into thinking you're a bad mother, which you are not. He probably doesn't want to admit he knows he can't hack it as a stay-at-home dad. I'm sure he realized it's way harder than he thought, and it won't give him tons of extra time for his hobbies like he thought. So now he's trying to guilt her instead of admit he's too lazy to be a stay-at-home dad. Am I the bonehead for telling my sister if she can't handle seeing our parents at my wedding, she shouldn't show up? My sister, 29, was a nightmare growing up. That is a fact, and my parents did not handle her well. She was 16 when they gave up and sent her to a camp. It was horrible for her. The moment she was 18, she left and was on her own. She hasn't been in contact with them since. A few years ago, we got back into contact, and she is in a much better place, and we have been slowly reconnecting. I am engaged and my wedding is this year. I sent her an invite and she gave me a call. She asked if our parents will be there, and I told her yes. This is where we got in an argument. She wants me to not invite them, or she won't show, that they were horrible to her and how dare I invite them. My argument was, they have treated me well and it's not my fault they sent her away. Also, she was pretty feral as a kid, but I don't hold that against her. We went on for a while, but in the end I told her if she can't handle seeing our parents to not come. She hung up and thinks I'm being a jerk. Edit. Since this has been asked multiple times, yes. My parents tried therapy. My brother has no contact with her due to the extreme bullying she put him through as kids. The camp was a minor reform camp. Also, another point. When she was sent away, obviously my parents didn't know these camps were awful. They were advertised as helping kids, a safe place to help kids when parents can't figure it out. Now, for some comments. So I'm going to go with a potentially controversial, not the bonehead, with the info I have, with a slight touch of bonehead to your sister. But I'll explain. You have every right to invite whoever you'd like to your wedding. You had a different childhood than your sister, it seems. And also seems you suffered from the ripple effect of the situation with her growing up. Now, that being said, your sister should not be demanding that you uninvite your parents from the wedding. That's not a fair ultimatum. She has every right to remain no contact and not want to see them. Your parents did a horrible thing to their child. They left her at a camp that likely left her traumatized, abused, and tortured every day for 2 years, and never looked back or expressed remorse over it. That trauma is very real and very valid. I'd also be willing to bet that there is more to the story with your sibling than you realize. Not that it fully excuses her behavior, but it may explain it, and by your admission, Your parents did not handle her needs well, even when she was home. I was put in a situation like this myself. After going no contact with my parents, I knew I wasn't ready to see them and maintain composure, so I didn't go. I was sad to miss it. I'm sure it was a great party, but I'd have never dreamed of demanding they not be invited. Not the bonehead. Ultimately, it's your wedding and you can invite who you want. But I'm having a tough time holding this against your sister. Your parents gave up on her when she was a teenager. That's got to be traumatic. I don't think she should have argued with you about it, but I get why she did. Am I the bonehead for not including my son's adopted child in my will? My wife and I are in our 60s. We are thinking of retiring soon, and we are trying to get our finances and everything we own in order. For example, we're finally selling our old house because it's too big and we don't need it. We want to live in a quieter place and a smaller house. We have 3 kids, all adults by now. Each of our kids have their own kids as well. We have a daughter with 1 kid, a son with 2, and another son with 2 biological kids and a stepdaughter. Our youngest son was married. About 10 or so years ago, he cheated on his wife, and they got divorced. He cheated with his current wife. Then he adopted her daughter. We want to divide our estate between our children and our grandchildren. We had a family gathering to talk about some of these things, especially the house in case any of our children wanted to buy it themselves. Our son got very angry when he heard that we're cutting off his adopted child from the will. We told him she's not our family, and we don't support his life choices and how he ruined his family. He told us to stop holding a grudge for something that happened years ago and accept the child, or cut him and his family off. My wife and I think that his new wife and the child are living proof of him ruining his family. Do you think we are wrong in this? She is a child, and he's right that she's his. But does that automatically make her our family? He said, we're treating his wife and daughter poorly, and we're acting like boneheads towards a kid. The stepdaughter and the adopted daughter are the same girl. My son married her mother and then adopted her. Now, for some comments. Everyone sucks here. It's your money, so do what you want. Why punish a child for something their parents did? Not the bonehead. My siblings opted for our family trust to not include adopted kids that may come into the family as we get older, as you never know what might happen, and we may not consider them family. You're the bonehead. You have the right to do whatever you want with your estate, but you're punishing this girl for her father's transgressions. Did you cut him out of the will? Am I the bonehead for telling my postpartum wife the same thing she told me? So, this is a throwaway, and I really need some advice. So, for some backstory about me. When I was younger, I was bullied for being fat, basically, and my mother wouldn't help me lose weight. So when I got into college, I lost a lot of weight and gained muscle, and now I'm 6'5" and 240 pounds. So me and my wife have been together since we were 25. We are now 32 and had our baby 6 months ago. She's had a hard time taking care of him, so I've been helping in any way I can, and I haven't had much time to go back to the gym. I haven't gained that much weight, maybe 25 to 30 pounds, which is okay because I still look good. I plan to go back to the gym when he gets on a better sleep schedule, and my wife isn't so tired. She's recently been telling me that I'm getting fat, and I'm not as attractive as before. I mainly brush her comments off, but she's been doing this a lot recently, and it's been making me upset. I've told her this, and she said she'll stop, but she hasn't. So I told her, if you don't stop, I'm going to say something you're not going to want to hear. She laughed and said, okay, while rolling her eyes. So on Monday, she had called me fatty and said that I need to hit the gym before she calls my old classmates. I said, I need to hit the gym? It's been 6 months since you've had the baby. You should not be looking like that. She ran off crying. I haven't apologized because I don't know if I'm wrong or not. If I'm wrong, I will go apologize, but I don't know. So, am I the bonehead? Edit. She has not had any body issues in the past. She always feels like whatever weight she is what weight she is. Yes, I do love her body. I find it attractive. So I just said that to get her back. Edit 2. A lot of you missed where I said I did talk to her about it. Edit 3. What I mean is that she's now a stay-at-home mom. So because she couldn't get him to stop crying in the morning, she wants me to take off work so she can go back to sleep. When I come home, we are equal. We both take care of him. But when I'm at work, that's her job. No, he wasn't up all night. He sometimes wakes up a little after I wake up. Yes, I wake up with him too at night. Now for some comments. Couples often gain and lose weight through pregnancy and the aftermath. The relationships that make it are the ones that support each other. Not the bonehead. Your wife is an emotionally abusive bonehead. She shouldn't even have considered doing it in the first place. That she carried on and escalated after you reminded her screams personality disorder. She needs therapy. Maybe it's postpartum depression presenting. Former fatty here. That was bullied a lot. She knows your story, how hard you worked, how the bullying affected you, then proceeded to try to bully you as a grown man who's putting off working out to help better the home situation and take pressure of her. She earned it, especially when you've asked her to stop and gave her warnings. Most of the time I would not say it was the right thing, but attacking someone who's had specific trauma around that repeatedly is effed up and bullying. I bet you're not the only person she's bullied about that over the years. So not the bonehead. She earned it. In fact, I suggest rubbing it in a bit. Start working out at home, high-intensity 30-minute workouts a couple times a day. Keep killing it. I'm going to be brutally honest. She's being a witch. Our boy is nearing his 9-month mark, and my weight has been jo-joing a bit. I've already got extra on me, but my partner doesn't say that I'm a fatty. I also noticed a while back that my partner had been gaining a bit of weight, and a bit more of a dad bod now. But he still looks great, and I've changed our diet a bit so we can both lose a bit of weight. So my point is, it's okay to notice, but it's rude to go about it like that. Am I the bonehead for telling my husband he has to sleep on the floor for a week? My husband convinced me to go see his parents for a week in another state. I had 2 reasons for not wanting to. For one, I just had a baby 1.5 months ago. I have postpartum depression, and I'm really still not up to par. I don't want to be around anyone, his mom especially, because I find it exhausting. And for 2, they have an unruly Rottweiler that they have 0 control over. He's not aggressive, but he's destructive, jumps on people, and barks excessively. So I didn't want to go at all, but he assured me that we would be staying in a hotel and all would be well. There's only 2 hotels within a 1.5-hour radius deep wooded area in Maine, and I reminded him and asked him several times if he booked the hotel. He said he was handling everything and to stop worrying so much. So anyways, we got to Maine last night, and lo and behold, the hotel closed its office doors at 8 p.m. It's a bed and breakfast, and the owners live in the house, and it's advertised as all doors closed by 8 p.m. right on their website, which I didn't know. We didn't get there until 10 because he was catching up with his family. We end up back at his parents' house and they give us the guest room. I brought the baby's bassinet, so I set that up and we go to bed. Well, the next morning, their unruly dog came in and pissed all over the bassinet. Luckily, my baby was not on it. So I'm effing pissed and tell my husband to bring me to the hotel because I'm 2 seconds from losing my cool. I told him to shut the door when he came out, and he didn't. It's his fault. Well, he drives me to the hotel, and lo and behold, he didn't book in advance, so there's no vacancy. He said he assumed there would be openings because of how backwoods it is. So I call the only other hotel, 1.5 hours away, and nope, they're booked too. I told him I just want to go home at this point, but he refuses and says we can just stay at his parents'. I told him fine, but you're sleeping on the floor the entire time. I told him I won't be putting our baby in that bassinet, considering we can't clean it without a rug cleaner of sorts, which his parents don't have. And I told him he's not sleeping in the bed with me and the baby, because the bed is a double, and I don't trust that one of us won't roll over on the baby, and therefore, she needs her own side of the bed. Since he's the reason we are in this position, he He will be the one making the sacrifice and sleeping on the floor. He tried arguing before going to bed tonight that he should be able to sleep on the bed too, and that I should just sleep with the baby in my arms, like I do when we have contact naps during the day. I told him that wasn't happening. 1 hour naps is much different than a full night's sleep, and I don't trust myself for that long to sleep with her in my arms, especially not being this exhausted. Before going to sleep, he said I was being an effing bonehead, and apparently punishing him for wanting to see his family and accusing me of trying to sabotage his trip. Now for some comments. Traveling out of state with a 6-week-old infant and a mother with postpartum depression who isn't up to it is the part where he became the bonehead. The rest is just bonus boneheadery. I would take the baby and get in the car and go home. Not the bonehead. Your husband's a bonehead. I don't think any of this was accidental. I think he just figured it was no big deal. If you set it somewhere that you could actually rest and not have a dog pee all over the bassinet, it might be different. But he certainly didn't care about your baby having an appropriate bed, because it's not his bed. He gets what he wants, which is a visit that you really didn't want to go on anyway. This entire visit was all about him. Him. I'm just going to suggest that the next time you don't want to do something, you just tell him no. And if he keeps nagging at you, tell him to effing right off and go stay with mommy because you're not going. You are literally an adult, and you do not have to do something you don't want to do. And for him to even think you could just throw sheets on that bassinet and put your baby to bed there is crazy. Next time, tell him to F off if he keeps nagging you, and to go do what he wants because you're not going to. This is just so much BS. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next Reddit story. Take care.